The Uncharted Territories is a podcast about seeing the unseen in the world of matter. Join me, Shara Prophet, the mind magic coach, and my partner, astrologer Scott Tajirian, as we take an esoteric look this season into the life, death, and afterlife of a variety of celebrities and public figures who lost their lives prematurely or unexpectedly.
Welcome to the Uncharted Territories. I'm Scott Tajirian with Shara Prophet. Hi, Shara.
Hey, Scott.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you today?
Doing well. We're back here discussing Princess Margaret. And where did we leave off, Shara?
We were talking about her and her husband, Tony's.
Yes.
Or ex-husband.
Yes.
Tony's relationship.
Tony.
Yes.
The first Earl of Snowden.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Armstrong Jones, the first Earl of Snowden.
That sounds very mystical.
Yes, I know. That's why I said it again. It's like the first Earl of Snowden.
I just got like a visual of like some Viking standing in the snow with a sword.
I know. Yes.
That's awesome. So we were talking about their relationship with each other and how they got together.
Yes.
His sexuality, and you made some really good points about Princess Margaret's kind of like duality within herself, you know, like how there's that part of her that wants that stability, that love and commitment and monogamy. But then there's the other part of her that wants to explore a little bit and wants to kind of get a taste of everything, you know? And we were talking about the dominant part.
Yes.
Of each of us, right?
Yes.
Like how to connect with that dominant part of us so that we can truly create what we want to see.
Yes. Well, you know, Margaret, her purpose was to be in charge, to do what she wanted to do. And she wasn't doing the dominant, right? Which was the commitment, the monogamy, the having that person be there for her when she needed him. And so that other part that wasn't dominant became dominant.
Yep.
And that's when the life spirals out of balance.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. And this is what also contributed to her many health issues, as we've seen in the past with our other episodes, that what is not dealt with in the emotional and mental body will show up in the physical body until we pay attention to it. So
yes, that's what happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're given subtle signs, and then if you don't pay attention to those signs, then the signs become more prominent.
Yeah.
And if you don't pay attention to those signs, they start to appear in your body, because that's kind of the last resort.
Yeah. I mean, when your life is in, first of all, everything that is reflected to us in our reality is a projection of what's happening on the inside. So if everything is chaotic on the outside, then can you imagine the tsunami shitstorm that's happening on the inside?
Yes.
So when you see people engaging in chaos, creating chaos, as healers, we learn how to have compassion for those people and hold space for them. But at the same time, you have to be responsible for that. Like, you have to say, okay,
yes,
I need to shift something. And it's just amazing to me with all of the subjects that we've been speaking to and about. My thing is, like, at what point did you ever think to do any self-work, any inner work? You know, like, what? I guess it's the distraction. There's a lot of distraction in their lives. You know what I mean? Because they are public figures.
They're public figures. There's a lot of people around them. There's a lot of people that are pulling at them, prodding at them.
Yeah.
Go here, there, do this, do that. Especially for someone like Princess Margaret that has like state duties and never really probably having much time to herself. And even when she was by herself, maybe feeling uncomfortable in that solitude.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's part of like her South Node in Libra, needing to be in relationship, but really in this life, she needed to be on her own.
Yeah.
And taking care of herself and creating healthy boundaries around her from everyone so that she could focus on herself.
Yeah.
And so when you talk about like that chaos that people, it's like people are creating their own chaos to distract them from the signs that are being shown to them.
Yeah.
Because those signs require work that maybe the subject doesn't want to do, whether they're even aware of it or not. There's something going on subconscious that's saying, I don't want to do that. I'm going to find something to distract myself from that.
Well, it's the fear of the unknown, because if I change anything about myself, what do I have to give up? And when you think about Princess Margaret, she would have had to give up a lot of stuff, right? To live the life that she really wanted.
The ultimate distraction, you know, your royalty.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate distraction.
Yeah.
Just the constant attention and bling and buzz and great food and wine and all the...
It's addictive.
Yeah. I mean,
it's addictive.
It's
addictive.
Yeah.
You get addicted to the life and the lights.
And as a Leo sun, you know, she's somebody who is definitely like felt like, well, I'm supposed to have all of this stuff because her sun was in the sign of the queen. So having the attention, having the riches, the wealth, all of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, this is the thing. We're not saying there's anything bad or wrong with wealth and fame and notoriety. It's just like with anything else that you do, you have to take that stuff in moderation. You know, like, yes, this is my life, but I always come back to me, to my soul. You know, I stay true to my soul. And you can do that. I'd like to dispel the myth that if you are in certain circles and certain levels, that you have to sell your soul. No. I don't believe that you have to do that.
No.
I believe that there is something...
There's people that are not...
they're not sovereign.
Well, there's people that are in, let's say, not in those elite upper echelon circles that have sold their soul.
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely. So, yeah, and it's a choice.
I don't think it's... if you're in this group, you've sold your soul, and if you're in that group, you haven't. Yeah. When we're talking about class distinction, I don't think it works that way.
No, it doesn't work that way. It's a choice. It's a decision that you make day by day, because everybody that is in those elite circles, everyone has not done that. Yeah. Every person hasn't, you know. Sure. So I just feel like you have to find the happy medium, but you also have to have, first of all, the knowledge and the education to know that that's even possible. Yes. And then you have to believe that it could shift, that your life could be different. And then you have to have the courage to actually do something about it.
We talked about this when we were talking about the Kennedys.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You know, that somebody in the line had sold their family soul to get this power, and the people that the entities that they sold it to were like, okay, sure, if you want to give that to us, we'll take it, you know, but they didn't have to, but they didn't know. Everything's a choice and a belief system, right? So even the jinn that is attached to that bloodline, that jinn has to be created from a thought. Okay. Everything was created from a thought. You were created from a thought. I was created from a thought. You know, was it my thought that created that? Yes. Yes, it was. Before I came into this existence, I created me. I decided to be an expression of that creative energy, right? So because I don't think that there's anything outside that is like ruling me, you know, it's all within me. So that was a belief that I have to
go to an external source. I think it's external, right? But really, it's an internal creation that you say, I have to go to an external source that's more powerful than me because I'm not powerful enough to do this on my own, right? That's the belief. That's everything that has been ingrained in us since the beginning of time, right?
Yes.
So really what he did was he, tapped into that energy and said, okay, I need to get this, in order for my family to be safe, in order for us to have success and wealth, then we got to do this. In order for my troop to be safe, I have to do this, but that in itself is self-creation. You created an energy or an entity and gave it instruction, and you programmed it to carry out this particular thing. And because you thought that it was already a dangerous thing, it played out dangerously.
Okay. So you're saying that if it's your belief that to get X, you have to go through A, B, C, then that's what happens.
That's what happens.
But if your belief is that I'm abundant and I have everything that I need and I'm wealthy
and I'm safe,
healthy and wise and safe, and I don't have to do anything to have what is me, what is already me, then that is the frequency that is.
Everywhere I am, whatever it is, everywhere I am, it is.
It is.
Yeah. Because it's my thought, it's my belief, and it's my energy that creates said thing.
And so what was Margaret's creation?
Well, chaos was the main creation, right? But it wasn't something that, with her, she wanted peace. She wanted stability. She wanted that, right? That's the core desire. That was the dominant desire. However, we become hypnotized and programmed by what happens around us. So if I'm only seeing, I have to be this way to maintain my status, to stay in the family. They're telling me that this is what it is. That's my belief system now. So anything that I truly desired, I'm putting that on the back burner, right? So now I am going against myself, and I'm creating that inner conflict with myself between the conscious mind, which is saying, we really want peace, we really want love, like that's what the heart is desiring. But then the subconscious is programmed with all of this stuff, right? Programmed with all of these belief systems that we've picked up from outside. So those two things were not congruent. They were not in agreement. So when the conscious and the subconscious is not in agreement, we live in chaos. It's the desire versus fear loop that I talked about before. I desire this, but I'm afraid to do it because I'm going to have to lose something. What do I have to give up?
And she was thinking that she's going to have to give up her lifestyle to get what she wanted, which was love.
Yeah.
Because that is what was ingrained in her through the family dynamic of her uncle.
Yep.
That was given basically the same choice that Margaret was given. That if you want to be with this person you love, then you have to be removed from this system that you've been a part of. You're no longer Princess Margaret. You're just Margaret.
You're just Margaret.
And because he was no longer king, he was just David. And so that was his choice. He chose love, so to speak, to be with Wallace Simpson, and gave up being a part of that system, being the king.
Yeah.
And so Margaret was like, okay, that's the precedent. So she chose the opposite.
Well, it just goes back to what you were saying about her being in the sign of the queen, right? Like that was also a desire. Like I want this lifestyle, but I also want this.
Yeah.
And I can't have both because they said I can't have both.
Right. Yeah.
And I've seen evidence that I can't have both.
And then Charles kind of had the same choice.
Yeah.
Where it's like, no, you're marrying Diana. you're not marrying Camilla.
Mm-hmm.
You have to marry Diana.
Yep.
And so he did like Margaret did and chose the crown
Mm-hmm.
over true love. He's now got Camilla.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever happened, you can listen to the Diana episode and hear about that. And now we've got Harry, who has chosen love, let's say, with Meghan Markle, but has now been kind of pushed out of the royal sphere.
Yep.
So that's the frequency and the belief system that is involved with their lineage.
Yeah, and the only difference is that they chose to follow their heart. They chose themselves. They chose to just be Harry. You know what
Harry
I mean?
chose to be Harry, but Margaret chose the crown.
Yes, exactly.
But is that her choosing herself, or?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think she, in a perfect world, she would have had both, because it brought her so much turmoil and grief and depression, which is why she was smoking like 3 packs of cigarettes a day, and she was just waking up drinking and trying to numb the pain and just trying to shut up because this is the thing. When you're not walking the light, walking in your purpose, and your purpose could be something as simple as I'm a mother and a housewife, and that's my purpose, right? Because people hear purpose and we think it's supposed to be this huge, extravagant thing.
Right.
No. But if you're not walking in your purpose and you're not answering that internal soul call, the voices, and I'm speaking from experience, when you're not doing that, the voices get loud and is uncomfortable because you know you're not doing the core desire.
The reason why you're here.
Yeah, you're not doing it. So everything's uncomfortable. There is an inner conflict. Things just don't work out. You know, relationships don't work. Money doesn't work, or your career doesn't work, or you're overweight, or whatever. It's just not working.
Yeah.
Until you get in alignment, until you finally listen to the voice and you get in alignment, and then stuff just starts to fall into place. But with a lot of our subjects, they didn't do it. Right? They, for some reason, they felt they couldn't do it because the weight or the heaviness of the crown was just like, I got to stay like this. There's no other way. There's no hope. Yes. And the struggle, it gets really intense, you know? So I agree. I don't think that was her soul. She didn't follow, and she didn't fall in line with the soul's calling.
Right. Yes. It's interesting though, because then you look at like the Queen, or you look at like William, you know, they seem like they're in the marriages they wanted to be in. Right. So for whatever reason, the frequency that was within them was like, no, I'm gonna have both. I love and the crown. Like, what? Like, why wouldn't I have both? Like, obviously I'm gonna have both. But whatever that gene was passed down to, from David to Margaret to Charles to Harry, that says you have to choose. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it a gene, or is it a past life thing that they have to pay out? You know,
I look at that as like the same thing. You know, it's like the gene is the past life. It's a frequency. It's something that their soul carried into this life for whatever reason, so they could have that experience to learn whatever they needed to learn.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what's interesting is the day that Margaret died, and I know we'll get into that in a minute, but I mean, the sun was in direct alignment with her North Node. And her North Node, that's the soul's purpose. That's to do what I want to do.
What's her North Node?
Her North Node's in Aries.
Okay.
Which is the sign that represents the self. And it was also in the first house, which is associated with the first sign, which is Aries. So it was very clearly Aries. Like, this life is for you to do what you want to do, to be authentic for yourself, to be selfish, for lack of a better word, because that's a negative word, but to think of yourself first, to put yourself first. The more that Margaret would put herself first, the wider the road through life would be for her.
Yeah.
The more she thought about, well, what is this person going to think? What is that person going to think? What about my sister? What about the crown? That is narrowing the road for her.
Yeah.
And on the day she died, the sun was in direct alignment with her north node, like really shining its light on her soul's purpose. Yeah.
Yeah. That's deep.
And Mars, the planet of action, the god of war, the planetary ruler of the first house, and the planetary ruler of Aries, was both in Aries, in the first house, just a few degrees away from her north node, her soul's purpose. So being given that drive to follow her soul's purpose and do what she wanted to do.
Yeah.
And there seemed to be, from my research, a lot of, kind of animosity from Margaret towards Diana.
Yeah.
Because Diana was kind of going rogue. And I wonder if that had to do with Margaret's sort of maybe envy or jealousy of Diana doing what she wanted to do.
Absolutely. She said that in the very beginning, that she felt like, well, I had to conform.
Yeah,
she should have had to as well.
Exactly.
She's like, I didn't have anything against her. I just was like, bitch, get in line.
Yeah,
like, what are you doing? Like, if I can't do what I want to do, you cannot do what you want to do either. Like, so let's get with it.
Yes.
That's basically what it was. It was just like, listen, I'm over here suffering because I can't be my true authentic self in my own body because I was born into this family, which was her choice.
Yep.
That was her choice.
Yeah,
She
chose that. Yeah, sure.
So you are not going to come in here and just do whatever you want and think you're going to be accepted by, by us. So, yeah.
Yes. Wow. So interesting too, because Diana's north node was in direct alignment with Margaret's north node.
Interesting.
Yeah. Diana's north node is 28 degrees in Leo, which is the sign of the queen.
Yeah.
So Diana, as we said in that episode, it was about, her following her heart, but being the queen in the karmic bond. She needed to be sharing and merging power with someone else. If it wasn't going to be Charles, then it needed to be someone else. And she was kind of all over the map after Charles. And while she was with Charles too, there was a lot of different men that were coming in and out of her life. And so she might have been sharing her magic a little frivolously.
Spreading it around.
Which is not what you want to do with that north node in the 8th house.
Yeah.
But at 28 degrees in Leo, that's in direct alignment with Margaret's north node at 25 degrees in Aries. That's a fire connection. So, in the sort of idealistic way of thinking about it, these two women could have been huge supporters for one another in following their soul's path. But instead, it seemed like they were kind of at odds with each other about it. So, because one was trying to, but the other one wasn't. And,
absolutely. It's just really, it's kind of, it's sad because it's just like, wow, what could have been. But we keep ourselves in mental prisons where we tell ourselves these stories that I can't have everything. What am I willing to let go of? Like, yeah, you will have to let go of some things. Yes, you will have to sacrifice some things. Are you okay with it?
Yeah. Well, you sacrifice things one way or the other.
You do.
I mean, either you're sacrificing... there's two paths to go down. There's the path that you know, and there's the path that you don't know. And if you choose the path that you know, then you sacrifice truly the path that's going to give you everything that you want.
Yeah.
But if you go down the path that you don't know, then you also sacrifice whatever is on the path that you do know.
Yeah.
But I feel that, at least from like the North Node perspective, you are following your soul's purpose, and you sacrifice that other path, you actually end up getting everything that was on that path. So like if you're somebody who is born with the North Node in Aries, by being selfish, you actually get the most amazing relationship that you could ever imagine, because you're taking care of yourself in a very powerful way, and that's going to attract a partner that wants to support you.
That's right.
In the way that you're supporting yourself. And so it's like I look at Charles's North Node, and it's in Taurus in the 10th house. Taurus is wealth, what is mine, my self-worth, and achievement, being an authority. I would say that he's following his North Node. He's taking care of what's his. This is mine. Yeah. It's not yours. And I'm in charge, not you. And so,
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
It seems like the men didn't have as hard of a time going after what they wanted.
Well, I'm going to look at Harry and see, because I feel like he's having a harder time. He's in this position where he wants to be with Meghan Markle. Okay, awesome. That's great. But at the same time, he's sacrificing his relationship with his family.
Yeah.
So, that doesn't seem like it's as easy as, it would be more in line, and the same could be said for David, the uncle, Charles's uncle. So, yeah, Harry's North Node is in Taurus, like his dad's, in the 4th house. So that's family, that's roots, that's upbringing, that's childhood, that's his ancestors. So he needs to be focused on his self-worth, like his dad, that this is mine, not yours. Let's be clear about what is mine. He might be merging too much power with Meghan Markle. He needs to keep it separate. Like she has her thing, and that's great, and we're together and all of that, but there's a clear divide between what is mine and what is hers. That's what Taurus is about. The bull says, this is mine. You don't come into my space. Now, the 4th house, you could look at it a couple different ways. On one hand, you could say, well, it's in the 4th house. He needs to be focused on his roots, his family, his upbringing and his past. At the same time, by him being a good father to his children and being maybe kind of like a stay-at-home dad, where it's like, I'm just going to focus on nurturing and caring and being kind to my own, the ones that I've spawned, you know? So the more that he's in line with that frequency and just really looking after his children and making sure that they feel safe and secure, I think that will give him the peace that he's looking for. Gotcha. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I think what I meant by that was that more of them chose, if they decided to go with love, for example, they chose it. They just did it. It might have been hard, but they did it. But I'm finding that with Princess Margaret, the freedom to do it wasn't as, she didn't feel free to do it, put it like that. She didn't feel free to do that. And I feel like they made that choice and they were just like, hey, this is what I'm doing. I don't care what anybody thinks, Right. So that's what I meant by, it seems like more of the men took that step to do it.
Yeah. I mean, like when I think about Margaret, for her to like step out on her own in like 1955. I mean, like you could maybe think about it today where it's like she has like a baller TikTok account or something. Right. She's making like
that would be interesting.
Just making like crazy amounts of money on her TikTok or IG. Yeah. But like in 1955, like she would have just been like out in the wind.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, like, okay, well, what are you going to do for a living now?
Yeah.
You know, like get a job, like you're going to be a secretary somewhere or something. Like,
think about the millions of women who have suffered because of that. Just,
exactly.
you know, like it's just like, yeah, men did have more choices out, obviously. But the millions of women who've had to stay in situations, we don't really have to now, but they had to stay in situations that were not healthy. They didn't really want to be there. It probably wasn't safe. And they just had to sit back and just take it.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Ugh.
I know. Well, I mean, she obviously wasn't just sitting around taking stuff, you know what I mean? She still she did her thing too.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
She did her thing.
She was taking what she wanted to take.
She was taking what she wanted to take. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. But like her uncle, you know, even him, David, like he was like out in the wind, but he had his allowance and he had his wife and everything. But he was a North Node in Aries like Margaret, which is interesting, about thinking about himself, putting himself first. And it's in the second house, which is that Taurus energy. So that seems to be like a theme where you've got Harry and Charles are both the North Node in Taurus, and then David or Edward, the eighth, who was briefly the king for not even a year, he was a second house North Node, which is associated with the second sign, which is Taurus. So
interesting.
Yes. So it's about what's mine.
Yeah.
This is mine, taking care of myself. But then his North Node was in Aries, like Margaret. So putting himself first. And I'm not sure if he did, because he chose to be with Wallace Simpson as opposed to being the king. So he chose the part. I think it's a little different than Margaret's situation.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's complicated.
Do you think he really wanted to be king?
I think part of him did. Yeah. Because, I mean, he's a fifth house sun. That's associated with the fifth sign, which is Leo. So I think that he thought that he could be king and keep the woman. But then he had to make the choice, and he chose his partner, which I'm not sure if that was the choice he was making for himself.
I see. Okay.
I think he was making that choice for them, for the two of them together.
Okay. We might have to do him.
But he was
find out.
He was complicated too, because he was like sleeping with married women, and like he was all over the map. Yeah. Very similar frequency to Margaret. You know, a lot of he'd been with so many different women prior to Wallace Simpson, and then settled down with her. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah.
Interesting.
We'd have to do him on another one, but. Do you want to get to Margaret's passing? Like, where are we at right now?
Yes. I want to just say one thing that kind of stuck out to me, where she talks about how, just kind of tying back into, you know, why she would choose to be in a relationship with Tony and to deal with everything that she dealt with. And to participate in things that she participated in, because we can't put it all on him, right? Yeah. But what she said was that their relationship caused her to do a lot of self-reflection and introspection. And she said, you know, like, a part of me felt that this was normal because this is what I had seen my entire life. You know, I grew up around dysfunction in romantic partnerships because that's what royals do. We cannot be claimed. We cannot be pinned down to one person. The whole world wants a part of us. They want to have a piece of us, and we feel entitled to also have a piece of everything, which I find very interesting. Yeah. We feel entitled to have a piece of everything that we
Sounds
want.
like the mob.
I know. Well. Yeah. Everything that we want and see. And so we do that. And monogamy and fidelity is ideal, but it is not protocol. But a part of her said that she, you know, of course, she craved that ideal relationship, somebody who worshiped her. but she never thought that it was possible because she'd never really seen that. And I mean, I guess even with her parents, I don't think the queen stepped out. I'm not sure if she did or not, but I know her husband definitely did.
You think Margaret's dad was stepping out?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the king?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't think so?
I don't know.
The king? Wait, Margaret's dad?
You know, I just think about the way he was portrayed in The Crown.
Yeah.
You know, just like this stuttering guy that's, you know, been portrayed in Hollywood. He had a stutter and you know, he wasn't supposed to be king, and he was, you know, just really a good guy. You know, that wanted a quiet life.
The good guys are the ones that really stick it to you good, let me tell you.
Family, you know, so it's harder for me to think of him as like the baller out there just because of the way he's portrayed in Hollywood.
Right.
But you know what that means, whatever.
Yeah.
So,
well, I will say this. I will say that I haven't done any direct work on him or seen anything specific. But she's saying that she grew up seeing things. Okay. So I'm just wondering.
Okay. Well, let me look at the astrology real quick.
Okay.
And just, you know, first of all, he's a Sagittarius sun, which is the sign of freedom.
Yeah.
You know, when I think of Sagittarius, I think of like Burning Man.
Yeah.
You know, a bunch of people running naked in the desert, you know, dancing around the fire.
I've dealt with some Sagittarius men, and okay.
So, but he's also a second house sun. He's, you know, so the sun, Mercury, Mars are all in Sagittarius, which tells me freedom lover. But he's a second house sun, Mercury, and Mars. And the second house is associated with the second sign, which is Taurus, which is about, you know, being stable and being, you know, somebody who is very loyal. So he's also in a Scorpio moon. So, you know, Scorpio is the deepest, darkest, most passionate sign. And so, you know, that Scorpio moon is also very loyal, like Taurus.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's indications that there's a lot of loyalty for her father, but also an urge for freedom. His Venus was in the first house. Again, first house associated with the first sign, which is Aries, also in Scorpio. So that tells me a couple of things. Like Venus in the first house, that's somebody who's like quick to love, ardent in love. And I think if you read back about his relationship with his wife, Elizabeth's mother, you know, he was after her, like, and he wanted her, like he really pursued her. And he got married, you know, before his brother did, the one who was king before him. Now, the Scorpio energy, there's a secretness to the love nature. It's hidden. There's something hidden about it. So, you know, that could mean maybe there's some kind of something going on in the shadows.
Yeah.
And it's quick. And it's, you know.
Yeah, that's what I'm picking up on. I'm picking up on there's something there.
Yeah.
It's something that happened. You know, we don't know, but something happened.
And he's a Libra rising, so, you know, very charming.
Yeah.
It's hard to really kind of read the Libra rising people sometimes because they're so just measured and graceful, and they don't seem like they're going to do anything that's, you know, beneath the board.
Right.
Because they're very classy. So,
yeah.
Okay.
So yes, I mean she would know better than me,
either us,
and
either
you.
Us, yes.
So she just keeps.
Her word for it.
I'm gonna take her word for it.
There are things going on.
Somebody was doing something. But so basically, she's saying the same thing that we just got finished talking about, and we'll get into her health in a minute. But I just kind of wanted to bring that up. You know, that she never really found that balance between desiring something that you feel is totally impossible and living the life of chaotic adventure. You know, that's just where she was, you know. But she said it made her strong. it made all of them strong. And in the end, we were victorious because her and Tony remained really great friends afterwards. They were very close. And they had a deep, profound respect for each other. And she said, I've always had respect for him, and I've always had love for him. We were really good friends, even though they, went through what they went through. They probably shouldn't have been married. They probably just should have been buddies, But again, she hopped into that relationship off of the back of the pain that she was feeling, around Peter. And she's grateful for her children. She's grateful for her children.
Absolutely.
And that was the blessing out of that. And we know how that goes. The children choose their parents. So sometimes it's the kids' souls that bring the parents, the people together, exactly. Even though it may not be the best relationship. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So let's talk about her health.
Yeah, go for it.
So she had some things, quite a few things going on with her. The first thing, of course, is the substance abuse, right? And so I like to talk about what the emotional, spiritual tie to that is. And it's escapism, as we already know, numbing pain.
Yep.
Being closed off to one's true self, not living the life that you want, coping with disappointment, anxiety, stress, depression, which was all of the above is what she was dealing with, And then the smoking. It's you're seeking relaxation. You're looking for a break when you're smoking, right? Because you're taking a deep breath and then exhaling, right?
Yeah.
And most people don't know to stop throughout the day and just do that.
Exactly.
So the only time they get to do that is if they smoke.
Exactly. It brings you back into the moment of just being present. And that's what it is.
That's what it is.
When you smoke, you're present. You don't have to worry about your problems. You're just focused on that cigarette.
You get moments of clarity.
Yeah.
I know when I used to smoke.
Totally. Same
I would
here.
go take a smoke break and I would just have ideas, like moments of clarity, like, oh shit, that's what I need to do.
Exactly.
If I was writing something or working on something, it would just bring in those moments of clarity for me because you're relaxed.
Totally. That's what my old writing partner and I used to do all the time. Whenever we'd feel stuck in whatever we were writing, we'd go out to the balcony, light up, and all of a sudden it's like,
I got it.
We got the idea.
Yeah.
We know it now because your mind is coherent.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're in flow. You're relaxed.
Flow. Yeah. Exactly.
You're taking deep breaths, and that's what brings those those clarified moments. It's also a distraction and a pattern interruption to quiet the mind, which is what we just talked about, and allows time to organize the thoughts. So it puts you in a hypnotic state because that's what hypnosis is.
Yes.
Hypnosis is you organizing your thoughts from a clarified space so that you are able to create the next step.
Yes.
Or whatever the reality that is that you're wanting to create. So that's the smoking. Of course, these things affected her body, right? So we have lung issues. She had to get a piece of her lung removed. So any issues with the lungs has to deal with deep emotions, grief, sadness, drowning in sadness, suffering from loss. Yeah. So it's really interesting that the very thing that she was going after, smoking, right, was also having a huge impact on the lungs, right, which is where you're holding that grief, that sadness, and it's like you're drowning, So that's very interesting. And then finally, the stroke. So strokes come on from physical exertion, when we're not giving ourselves enough rest, we're not sleeping well, anger, stress, emotional upset. Around that time, she had to sell her home. She had to quit drinking. She had to quit smoking. All of the stuff that brought her comfort was basically stripped away. And so therefore, there's that, I'm losing control. So the body literally loses control and goes into convulsion. And that's where the stroke came in.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah. The lungs are ruled by Gemini. which is ruled by Mercury, the planet of communication. In order to communicate, you have to breathe, fill up your lungs, and then say what you need to say. Mars, the god of war, was in Gemini in her third house, which is associated with the third sign, which is Gemini. It was also the exact same degree in alignment with her North Node, which we've been talking about a lot. So it's like the inhale of that cigarette and the exhale was her little way of doing what she wanted to do, following her North Node maybe.
Yeah.
But that's not really what she wanted to be doing. That was just like her own little sort of rebellious...
Her power play.
Yeah, her power play. So, but really Mars was pushing her to, to be more explorative, if that's a word, like, learning about different people, connecting to different people, but exerting her own will and power through her thoughts and her words. And so by maybe silencing herself too much, the cigarettes were, what's the right word?
Well, it's an oral fixation. And so if you aren't, a lot of people who have issues with their throat chakra will be smokers because they're not fully speaking their truth.
Yes.
Or you can't. You have to shut it down. So you have to do something with your mouth.
Right. Yeah. But the alcohol, that's a tougher one. I mean, Neptune isn't afflicting any planets here, though it is in her 6th house, which is the house that rules the conscious mind. And it's the planet of the unconscious. And her Sun and her Mercury are there. So she's really thinking a lot, a very active mind. And maybe to quiet the mind is where the alcohol and cigarettes came in. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Big time. Escaping.
Yeah.
She needed to escape.
Yeah. Escapism, a part of her daily life. That's Neptune in the 6th house. Yeah.
Wow.
And in Virgo. So, which is also 6th house energy. Daily routine.
Yeah.
Escapism.
Yeah. And then it turns into a program because you do it so much, the repetition tied to the intense emotional, feelings that are happening.
Yes.
And it's a coping mechanism. And so then it turns into habit,
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's on the day that she passed also, I was saying how the Sun was in alignment with her North Node and Mars in alignment with her North Node, giving like kind of that last desperate call of like, do what you want to do. Do what's right for you. Screw everyone else.
Yeah.
On that same day, the North Node was conjunct at the same degree as her Mars and also in alignment with her North Node.
Yeah.
So she was getting the transiting Mars connecting to her North Node, the transiting North Node connecting to her Mars. Both of those are action to follow your soul's purpose. And then the Sun bringing vitality there as well. So I feel like Margaret had, like, leading up to her death, had a lot to say, a lot to do.
Yeah.
But, was past the point of no return, didn't know how to do what she wanted to do or say what she wanted to say. Mars was also squaring her Pluto. So Pluto's the god of death, and Mars is the god of war. And squaring off, that is a very powerful alignment. Very intense.
That's a powerful way to go out.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. Intense.
Yeah.
Very intense.
Do you think she was still fighting against doing what she truly wanted to do, like on a soul level? Like, was there, because that's a very interesting lineup on the day that she passed.
Yeah, I mean, in addition to that, there was Uranus, the planet of rebellion.
Yeah.
And revolution was also in alignment with her Mars, action, and her North Node, soul's purpose. Chiron, the wound, was conjunct Saturn, the authority. So I think that she probably was fighting it, and her exit strategy was just death. You know, that was the way to stop fighting. The way to stop fighting was to just keep fighting until, like, fighting what she was supposed to do. Like, the more she did that, the easier it would be for her to just die.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe. Well, I know that she says, like, her message, you know,
what was her message for all of us?
Always be present and find peace in the present.
Okay.
And so I feel like that's something that makes a lot of sense. You know, if I can't, like, fighting against what I'm supposed to do, the more you find peace in the present moment, the easier it is for you to move more towards your soul's calling, your purpose, the desire of your heart, because you're not worrying about what's going to happen if I do it. You're just returning back to the present and finding peace in that moment, like second by second, moment by moment, millisecond by millisecond, you know? And that eventually just becomes practice, right? It just becomes habit, like everything else. So I feel like if she would have done that, eventually she would have gotten to a space of not giving a fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Finding peace in the present means, like, yeah, I'm going to do what I want to do.
Exactly.
I don't care what other people are going to say.
Yeah.
Because I'm peaceful.
That's right.
And if they're not going to be peaceful because of what I do, then that's their issue.
That's their issue.
Yeah, it's not mine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You release the guilt and the shame because you don't have time to think about it because you're in the present.
Exactly.
I don't have time to think about being guilty, being shameful, being embarrassed, or outcasted because I'm here. That's a future possibility.
And that's what the cigarette smoking was about, was trying to be peaceful in the present moment. Gives her a moment of peace in the present. But it's false.
She smoked like 3 packs a day.
Wow.
I had to take a deep breath after that because that's, I mean, as a smoker, I think I was smoking like maybe a half a pack a day.
Yeah.
And that shit's a lot, you know? So totally. I can't even imagine.
I know.
3 packs.
I can't imagine. And especially the type of cigarette she was probably smoking too. Yeah. You know? Probably harsh.
Very harsh. Yeah.
It's like a punishment.
It is a punishment.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is. It's like, I mean, anything that you do in excess is a punishment.
Is her soul back on Earth in physical form?
I'm not feeling that.
No.
I'm not feeling, no, it's not.
Okay.
I see her shaking her head now.
Okay.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. I feel like she's at peace right now.
Okay, good.
I don't feel like there's I don't feel any heaviness.
Okay,
but I do feel like there's still lessons that she's learning on the other side. So she hasn't quite come back over here. By the way, you don't have to come back here. For those listening. That's a choice.
Yeah.
Just like you can manifest the way you leave this place too. If you really want to harness your true sovereign power, you know, you can manifest everything else. Yeah. Why can't you visualize how you'll leave this plane, you know? But if she chooses to come back, she could. I don't know if she wants to. But I think right now she's still doing some healing. Yeah. But she's at peace. She's at peace, but she's still healing.
Well, I'm very grateful for her. For her wisdom, that she shared with us here. Fascinating individual, very complex, but yes, grateful for you, Shara.
Thank you. I'm grateful for you too.
Yes.
Very grateful for you to help bring all of this stuff together because sometimes I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. This is what I'm getting. I'm picking up on this, but I don't know if this is accurate. I mean, we still don't know how accurate all of this stuff is.
Sure.
Only the people involved really know.
Exactly.
But I'm just grateful for the lessons that come through
Exactly.
in these conversations, because this is deeper than us just, tapping in and reading about their juicy lives,
Right. No,
this is work to elevate the planet,
There's valuable lessons here, however accurate you and I are actually being with the information and the facts.
Yeah.
There's so much wisdom in what's being shared here. I also want to just say before we wrap up that I should have mentioned this earlier, but it's interesting to me because Margaret's sun is at 28 degrees in Leo, and Diana's north node was at 28 degrees in Leo. So there's some kind of karmic connection between the two of them.
Yeah.
And following the soul's purpose and sovereignty and the self and all those sorts of things. So I think that maybe Diana might have looked at Margaret as like an example for
I was just getting ready to say, I feel like Margaret also saw herself in Diana, but was pissed because she was like, you need to fall in line.
Yeah,
listen,
exactly.
If you really want this to work out for you,
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. Wow.
Right.
Okay.
But Diana was like, I don't know, got some sort of inspiration, whether it was doing different from Margaret or harnessing that spirit and doing her own thing, whatever it was.
Yeah.
That was, there's something there between the two of them. So
beautiful. Well, I hope that they are dancing with each other up there or wherever they are. I don't know. Is it up there? Is it over there? Is it
down
right?
Here,
is it right here?
Right here, right next to our table.
We can't even see it. You know what I mean? Like they're right there. Whatever. I don't know what heaven or hell looks like. That's up to everyone. That's up to each person. So yes, indeed. But this has been awesome.
Awesome. Thank you, Shara.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you to all of our subjects that we've talked about this season. And thank you to our listeners.
Absolutely.
All right, Shara.
All right.
Until next time.
Yes, indeed.
You've been listening to The Uncharted Territories, where we see the unseen in the world of matter. If you would like to support the podcast, subscribe.
We've talked a lot about the subconscious mind and the importance of healing our wounds from the past. As an energy healer and a certified hypnotherapist, I help people understand how the mind works so they can harness the energy of the subconscious and tap into their inner power and make those positive long-term changes in their lives. If you're ready to make that change, you can book a session with me by connecting at opendoorhypnosis.com. I look forward to working with you.
If you'd like to learn more about who you are, where you come from, why you're here, and what you're meant to do with your life, contact me, Scott Tajarian, at theweeklytransit.com, and we will take a close, detailed look at your astrological code. My purpose is to help you understand who you are so you can accept, appreciate, and love the divine, unique miracle that is you.